York is like this big magnet, and we're all stuck to it, but it's giving off this zzz, and you know, how do you maintain like your essential humanness if you like just get all caught up in that zippy life?
I think you need to practice if you live in New York. At least I do.
I had no yoga background. Like, I really didn't think I was at all interested in yoga. And so I remember going and watching a class and kind of thinking like, this looks hard.
I mean, it does look pretty acrobatic. I mean, it looks kind of contortionist.
What are all these people doing, putting their legs in that pretzel position and up behind their heads? What's that all about?
Let's see, I think I thought about yoga for about 20 years before I actually started doing yoga.
In the beginning, there were days where I thought, I just can't do this. I don't want to, it hurts me. I'm not strong, I hate it, this is boring.
Even to sit like this for me, you know, it took years. You know, I was one of those guys when they first started yoga, his knees are way up here, you know, it's hardly bending over.
You know, I don't come from like a background of ballet or gymnastics, or, you know, I come from like being all up, you know, like curled over in a little protective ball holding a microphone like this. So I don't know, I might have had a karmic predisposition towards it, but certainly not a physical one.
And my friends, you know, sort of moved from being supportive but like a little bemused to much more respectful, I think, is really kind of the transition. And I think part of that is that some of them have seen me practice and then have a better understanding of it, and then yoga became so much more popular and mainstream, basically, that it was no longer this sort of bizarre thing that was kind of cultish.
Who is Guruji? Guruji is a yoga teacher in the south of India.
Guruji is Pattabhi Jois. He's the guru.
He's the one living guru of Ashtanga yoga. He's very cute.
Anybody could attend the workshop, either if they had done Ashtanga yoga or not done Ashtanga yoga.
There were tons of people and just kind of waiting, and there's this kind of excitement about what's going to happen.
Normally, there's never a lead class of 250 people, but it's just all of us trying to squeeze every bit we can out of Guruji while he's here.
There's definitely something to be said for satsang, for the gathering of all these people with, you know, for the most part, a mutual focus and intention.
It's hard to describe the feeling of practicing with Guruji with 300 people in the room and you're all like breathing at the same moment, but there's something incredibly powerful about it.
You know, you hear his voice and there's a resonance and a richness. It seems like living Sanskrit instead of learned. And he embodies the practice in that way as well.
Panchadasha, exhale, touch the head. 1, 2.
Ooh, what is Ashtanga? Well, you know, technically, Ashtanga, you know, comes from eight limbs. Ashtanga yoga, 8 limbs of yoga.
Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi.
There's all the other 8 limbs of Ashtanga yoga, and asana is actually taught first. It's the 3rd limb, but it's taught before the 1st and the 2nd.
Here we often refer to yoga as asana practice. Asana practice is the physical discipline.
Usually when someone asks me, like if you know, a relative asks me, we understand you do yoga. I say, well, I do this Ashtanga practice. It's vinyasa, it's a flowing practice. It's a series of postures that flow one into the next.
And I think that's what gives it the physical rigor, because you are really moving and breathing so continuously. And if you're doing, you know, a full series, that's usually like an hour and a half, basically, of continuous motion. He was kind of the beginning in many ways, and certainly the force behind the Ashtanga yoga tradition.
He learned it from his teacher, Krishnamacharya.
When he talks about Krishnamacharya, one feels the love and respect and enthusiasm that he has for his teacher.
My teacher is a T. Krishnamacharya. T. Krishnamacharya is a very good scholar, Sanskrit scholar.
And then you started teaching.
Me, 1937 March started.
I think it's always very funny that that place in South India is called Mysore. Boy, Mysore.
I starting many students. My yogashala is very small, not big. There is only for 15 students is possible. One batch. I starting early morning 4:30 class, finishing 2 o'clock. Not eating also is not going home.
See, when I first went and studied with him, I'd never done any Ashtanga yoga. understand what it was or know what it was or anything. The first day, there were only 3 of us in the room with him, and he taught us sun salutations. He taught us, he just said what to do. Inhale, put your arms up, exhale, bend forward, etc., etc. If we did something wrong, he corrected it. And then he would keep on teaching new posture. Every couple of days, he would teach us a new posture. So that's the Mysore style thing, is that the teacher has to teach you from the beginning and then has to keep on keeping their eye on you to help you progress through whatever rate you can progress.
So much of yoga has been changed to sort of fit into Western culture, but Guruji has tried to preserve Ashtanga yoga and have us rise to the occasion.
It's been great to see where Ashtanga comes from. I feel closer to it than when it's been handed down through other teachers.
You've got to meet him, you have to see him, you have to experience it. You know, of course, I'd love to go to Mysore for a while, I'd love to hang out there. I'd love to, you know, take that year off and really work on the practice, but perhaps next year.
Yeah, looks like Sharat, yes. Mini Sharat. So careful. Are you tired?
No, tired.
Tired.
Little tired after taking a rest 1/2 an hour.
Yeah. Joseph, we're all finished.
Oh, I couldn't possibly.
My name is Saraswati Rangaswamy. My father Pattabhi jois, great yoga teacher.
My name is R. Sharat. I'm 30 years old and I'm Sri K. Pattabhi jois' grandson.
My grandfather started when I was very young, really young, when I was 7 or 8 years old. He used to ask me to do this asana, we used to do that asana. We're that flexible when we were kids.
Always working, teaching yoga. I'm very lucky. Yeah, I'm also 60 years old. Actually, this September 11th is my birthday. Yeah, finished 60 years.
I think my father is the only teacher who is teaching Ashtanga yoga in a proper way. You know, the way it has been taught from his guru, so he is delivering the same thing. And then that's why, you know, it is getting popular.
My family, whole family, I will teaching yoga practice. They also know very well.
You know, there's 6 series in the practice. Now, obviously you start with primary series, and you know, sort of the overall experience of primary is much more forward bending and seated asanas. And second series, there's a lot more back bending, there's some more balancing and kind of getting you off the floor in some different ways.
I've been practicing second series probably for 2 years, but I still have like 5 poses left.
As far as I know, no one is doing 6, and Sharat's getting very close to be doing 6 series. I think he will be perhaps the only living person who's doing 6 series.
together with Guruji. I was born in his house. So my mother used to call him Appa. So I and my sister, we also started calling him Appa. Appa means father. Instead of grandfather, we started calling him Appa.
And what does Guruji mean?
Guru means his teacher. Ji is giving respect. That's why it's called Guruji.
In Ashtanga, your teacher really directs your progress through the series, so you can't just decide, well, I've been doing primary for a few months, I'm ready for second series. You know, that it's much more based on a teacher's understanding of what you're capable of and what you're ready for.
The practice is like kind of surrendering to that teacher-student relationship.
It's humbling in that way. You know, you work towards mastery and refinement of your practice and also of your concentration, but you're always coming up against, if not failure, at least the humbling aspect of not being able to really do it.
Right leg first, right leg inside right leg.
I just find when he puts his hands on you, you kind of, you know, give up and let go and say, okay, here we go.
When he assists you, which he may once or twice, you know, when there are that many people there, you feel like a kid and he's your father and you better do it right. And you want his approval, which of course you won't get.
He's at the same time fierce and compassionate.
I like that sort of combination of strict and loving, and I think it's a very good quality in a teacher.
Afterwards, everybody kind of does this thing where you finish your practice, and then before you go, you wait at the door.
Some people bow and touch his feet and then touch their hands to their forehead 3 times. It said that feet are the repository of Shakti, or divine energy, of the teacher. It's kind of nice not to give respect to your teacher that way. Other people don't want to do that, just go up and say hi, hug and a kiss, that kind of thing. It's mostly for girls.
I saw people doing that and it made me very uncomfortable. I thought, you know, I don't do that.
You know, when you see everybody in there, and there he is up there, you know, I don't even need to be an outsider, and it seems cult-like. And I know he's a master of this practice, but he's nothing more than that to me.
I felt this moment of hesitation, like, I don't know if I wanted to, but I just did it. And there was something that happened in that moment that I really think that was just a surrendering to the whole experience. And then I actually just really went forward. His feet are so amazing. They're like the earth.
If we choose to have Indian teachers and have a guru relationship with them, that's personal, and it can be with someone who comes from that tradition. Guruji can be a guru because he's an Indian, and that's an Indian standing, time-honored tradition, and it's very natural for their culture. In America, we don't have that because it's not part of our culture.
Samastiti Ekam inhale, Dve exhale, Nava inhale hands up, Chatwari jump back, Pancha inhale, Samastiti, last one, Ekam inhale, Dve exhale, Trini inhale, Chatwari jump back, Pancha inhale, Shat, Dasha exhale, Ekadasha, left inhale hands up, 1, 2.
You go into class and you see people every day when you're really on a roll and you're there and you're practicing 6 days. And they, just by sheer habit, they insinuate themselves into your consciousness, and you feel such incredible intimacy with them, but you don't know their name, you don't know what they do, you've never even heard their voice. It's pretty wild.
Some people you know their names, some people you don't even know their names, but how you doing? And then other people, but we're all like, it's a tribe or something. And there's a mutual respect that is a beautiful thing. Everybody could do it at home, but no, why do we all come together? We're like these little fishies that all come into the school together, and everybody's in there doing the same movements all together, and then and then scatter. But without that togetherness, maybe we'd all be a little more lost.
It's a lifelong practice, and you can take it as far and as deep as you want to, as you're ready to, as you're able to.
I also think Ashtanga is a kind of practice that you can't really flirt with for very long. Like, you're either going to be in or out, and that process is going to happen pretty quickly because it does demand too much, and to kind of dabble is very difficult, and I don't think very productive, actually.
I was really sick, and I had to heal myself. It was like a life-threatening, incurable disease. It's just kind of like my life ended as it was, and I went through this whole medical odyssey for about a year, and came out the other end with, all the drugs that I was supposed to take for the rest of my life, and basically the doctor's saying you're all set, and we'll up the dosage when you need it, and we'll, if the drugs don't work anymore, we'll cut out the part of your colon that's, that's affected, but that's okay. You can live a normal life with a colostomy bag, and sent me on my way. And I basically just took it in my own hands, and I researched holistic healing modalities at the same time that I was, I just started doing yoga every day.
I've been in 2 major car accidents in my life, and both times I almost died. My right hip has been broken twice, the left hip once, all of my fingers have been broken, and I've had 3 knee operations, and that's just part of the stuff that's happened to me. And so I figure if I can do Ashtanga, anyone can do Ashtanga.
Anybody who wants to do it can do it. Not everybody wants to do it.
Anyone can practice. Young man can practice, old man can practice, very old man can practice. The man who is sick, he can practice. And man who doesn't have strength, he can practice. Except lazy people. Lazy people can't practice yoga.
I never thought that I was a disciplined person. And when I started the practice and started doing it every day, I realized that I did have discipline, and I sort of got control of myself. And I think that the mental sort of obstacle and hurdle of doing it every day, that's sort of, to me, I think what's changed my life the most about doing Ashtanga.
In terms of health, I think it just makes you incredibly strong. I think in general it has a calming effect, but I'm so hyper by nature that I'm not sure that's would be apparent to anyone else. I just know that if I don't practice, I'm much more agitated.
For those people that know me, they know that I tend to be kind of a short-tempered, grouchy sort of guy. And I always tell them they should have met me before I started practicing.
It's calmed me down and cooled me up. And I think it also informs my performing, because it's a good way to practice some of the ideas of equanimity and certain ideas about concentration and directing your mind.
So many students are when they practice, they have lots of changes in their life, in their body, in their mind, everything. They come and talk to me about this. They tell after practicing Ashtanga Yoga, their life has been changed, lifestyle has been changed. It's good to hear that.
Well, first of all, physically it completely changed me. And I found that I had strength that I never thought that I had. And mentally, I mean, it's taught me just patience and letting go, and it's really changed my whole psychological outlook, I think.
I think that the more you practice, the more you realize that the physical practice is just a very small part of what yoga is about.
I think most people who start practicing Ashtanga also start to have an interest in the other limbs of the practice. So people, often start studying yogic texts in Sanskrit and chanting. People think of it as an exercise form or something. And the spiritual side of it can still sometimes be weird to people.
Yoga is a practice and it's a philosophy, but it is not a religion. But it can go hand in hand with religion to increase or heighten or deepen whatever your religious beliefs already are.
When you're there just because you're trying to have a beautiful body, you can get a beautiful body from doing Ashtanga. We all know that. And if that's what you're there for, that's what you come and get. And, But when you're there to really do the work to go to the next level, the practice deepens each time.
Some people are good practitioners. Some people are good practitioners and good teachers. And I think Sharat falls into the second category. He is a very good practitioner, and he has the temperament to transmit what he knows as it applies to the person that he's teaching.
Sharat has this amazing ability of getting you to be able to do things you don't think you can do. And in his very kind of quiet manner. He kind of makes certain assumptions about you that end up being true that you have not made about yourself.
He's so beautiful. I think all the girls have crushes on him.
Usually I get up at 1:45 in the morning. I have my bath, everything, and I start my practice around 2:10. I practice till 4:10 in the morning. Guruji gets up at 2:30 in the morning every day, and he'll prepare coffee every day in the morning. So both of us will have coffee, and class starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how many years good karma I have done to assist Guruji. It's many things to learn from him. He's so experienced. When he helps me in the practice, it's that I think energy flows from him to me.
He's totally devoted to Guruji. You really have the living example of the disciple-teacher relationship.
So I think when Guruji stops teaching, I think Sharat will really be firmly grounded in a good space for teaching and for carrying everything on.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Saraswati. Swati. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We must have left Chelsea Piers by 8:30 because we got to Green Street with Guruji right when the first plane hit. We were stepping out of the car, he saw the whole thing.